Okay, good evening. You can hear me. You can see the screen. Okay, sorry for being late. Just I came from campus. So today we will do this example. Do you have any questions before we start? Okay, so let's go through this one here. For yesterday question is so David would like to know the average distance he is walking each day in a week. Okay. Uh, when he takes a walk. He would also like to know the distance of the shortest walk. Okay, so he need to find the average, not the absolute average. He need to find the average when he takes a walk. Okay, and then he need to find the shortest walk he had. And shortest walk means the shortest non-zero. Okay, so maybe he's not walking at all. He has recorded the distance that he walked in the daily.txt, dailywalk.txt. So this is the file contains the data, and then the number of kilometer he walked each day, and this is the
হ্যাঁ,
sample.
এটা করা যায়। ব্লুটুথ every device এ ব্লুটুথ আছে?
So I will mute you. Okay, so sorry. Let me mute all. Okay. So this is a sample data. So you have the week. Okay, so January 10, then January 24. So during the week of January 17, he didn't do any walks. So he didn't walk very much on the week of January 10. He walked 2 days. So he walked the first day and the second day. Okay. So the average for this week would be 3.5 divided by 2, which is 1.75. So the average is 1.75. So we are calculating the average only considering the non-zero days. He didn't go a walk for January 17, so he didn't list this week in the file. For January 24, he walked more. He walked for 5 days, and the average was 2.76. For the weeks shown, the shortest walk was 1.4. This is the shortest distance he walked. Okay, so we need to write a program that will declare any useful constants. Open the daily walk file, check if it is opened, and when done, close it. Read the data from the file and output the average distance walked in a day when there was a walk for each week. Output the length of the shortest trip. Okay, so we are not allowed to use arrays because we didn't cover this yet. Okay, and here it asks us to write a program. Okay, so write a program means you have to include the libraries. Okay, so I will start by saying I will include the IO stream. I will include the F stream, the file stream. I will include um, C standard library. Then using name space standard, and then we can start our program. Okay. Do we lose marks for importing a library that we don't need? No. For example, here, I don't think that we will need IO stream, even C standard library, but yeah, just in case. Okay. Then we will say int main void and start to write the code. Okay. So when we are writing the code, it is always good to leave some space if you think that you may need some space. Okay. So we will start by opening the file. So ifstream. Do we need CMAS? I don't think we will need it, but we can add it. Okay, so hash include CMass. Okay, I don't think we will need it here, but anyway. So if stream, and we can call this as file n. Some student can call it fn. Okay, any name. Okay, so this is a name. This is up to you, but this is a common name that we use. And file n, and the file name is daily walk.txt. So make sure that you are matching the same name given, daily underscore walk.txt. Okay. Then we have to check if it is opened or not. So we will say f not file n. We will display cout unable to open the file, and then we will return exit failure. In this case, I need the IO stream, I need the F stream. Okay, so this is the first point, is to open the file and make sure that the file is opened. And I can add here file in close and return exit success. And this would be the end of my code. Clear so far? Clear so far? Okay, now the structure for the file is we have the week, then we have 7 reading, and 7 reading can contain zeros. Okay, now how we will read the data? So I will start to read the data from the file. So how we will read the data from the file? We don't know how long is this data, so we need to read row by row, and inside each row we need to read the 7 data. So we have to go through rows, and we have to go through columns. So this is nested loop. So what type of outer loop we should use here? Yes, file n. Okay, so here yes, correct, while file n. So here I would leave some space, so we can define if we have any variables or constants, we can leave some space. So we can say while file n into week, we will do the following. Okay, now we need to define week. So what type of variable we need for the week? So the week will be the container that we will read this variable in it. What type of container here we need? A string. Okay, so we need to initialize this. So where we should initialize this? Where we should initialize this? Before the loop? Do we need to define it before the loop or inside the loop? So here, because you are doing a condition, oh yeah, I'm trying to confuse you. So because you are doing a condition, you are checking while reading, you have to do it before. Okay, here it is not just about resetting it or clearing it, because we need to do the check before entering the loop. I cannot define it here because it will be known only inside here, but you are doing the check outside the 2 braces, so it will not be defined outside. So here we have to do this before the while loop. So we will define a string, and this string is called week, and this is an empty string, so we can read inside it. Okay, so while we can read in this case, what we need to do now? So while we have rows, what we need to do now? Yes, we need a for loop. Why a for loop? because we know there is 7 data. We know that there is 7 distances. Yes. So we know the number of distances. So now we need to receive that traveled distance or the walked distance. So this walked distance, what type of variable it is? Double or float, Shiran? Float, float. Why double? So the difference between float and double is a range you can cover. I don't think that you will walk in one day that much. Okay, so just you need a fraction. So I would go with float. So where we should define the float? Here, here is the for loop. So we will say for uh, count int count equal 1, count less than or equal 7, count plus plus. Yes, yes. You will use a little bit marks, not too much, but you will lose half a mark for using double. Yes, we initialize it to be as local as we can, and this worth marks. So should we define the variable where we will receive the distance here, here, or here? 1, 2, 3. At which location? No way. No. We should define it here inside the for loop. When we use double and float, so it depends on what is the maximum number you are expecting. The difference between float and double is how big is your number will be. Double, you can represent larger numbers. You can go up to 10 power 308, while float, we can go up to power 32, just smaller numbers. And we are not expecting him to go distance more than 10 power 32. So float would be better. Okay, Ben? So it's so you can for double you can go up to this range. For float you can go up to this range. Okay, you don't have to remember these numbers. Just you know the double value is too big compared to the float number, and we are not expecting him to go that far. He's walking. He will never walk 2 billion kilometers. So we can. So this one here is so obvious, Ben, that it's walk distance. So these are small fractions. We are expecting you to use floats. For some other applications, it's not clear. Yeah, if it's not clear that the number will be small, you can go with the safe side using it as double. Okay, so double is more conservative way. I don't know what is the number is, so I will use double to avoid any overflow. But if I'm 100% sure that the number will be very small and it's fraction, I would go with float. Okay, now we should define it here. So we will say float walk dist equal 0. Okay, then and you can write it as 0.0. Then you can say file n into walk dist. What we can do next after we read the value into walk dist? Now, what we need to do, we need to find the average. Okay, we need to find the average, and we need to find the shortest distance. Okay, so this is what we need to do. So we need to find the average, and we need to find the shortest distance. Okay, so to find the average, I need to accumulate the total. So I need to say total distance plus equal walk distance. Now, where we should define the total distance? Should we define it again at 1, 2, 3? Yes, here is this one is 2. Yes, this one is correct. Okay, this one is 2. So whenever you are writing while or for loop, before you write it, leave a space. Okay, leave a space. So you can go back and define variables. Okay, so in this case, I will say float total dist equals 0. Okay, now we can accumulate the total distance. What else we need to calculate? We need to calculate the shortest trip, correct? Now where we should, what would happen if we define it as 1 at 1 but set it to 0? If it is defined at 1, it is seen by 2. Okay, just you are resetting it. Okay, now the issue is we said that you have to define your variables local. Okay, why we need to define the distance that I walk if I don't need it outside this? Okay, so try to define it as local as you can. Now for the shortest distance, we should define it at 1. Okay, because I need the shortest distance from all days. I don't need it to be reset each time I'm entering the while loop. So in this case, yes, if you will lose marks if you are not defining your variables as local. Because what if I came at the beginning and I defined all my variables here, as you do? This is not a good practice for programming. Okay, you have to define your variables locally. No, you have to define your variables locally. You define it where you need it, and you will lose marks not to do this. And we mentioned this in class, and we did this in class. Hey, Jacob and Tom. Make sense? Okay, good. Now we will define the shortest path. So we will say float shortest walk equal 0. Then here we will say if walk distance less than shortest walk. In this case, shortest walk equal walk distance. So now we can get the walk distance, but we are not done yet. We can get the shortest walk. Okay, now how we can get the average? So we got the total, and we need to get the average. The average for each week. I'm coming to this. Yes, I'm coming to this. I'm coming to this. Don't worry about it. I'm coming that it should be less than 0, more than 0. Okay, now for the shortest distance, here there is some issues. The first issue is initializing it. If you initialize the distance to be 0, in this case, it will return 0. So you should initialize something that is you are searching for the minimum, you should initialize it as large as you can. Okay, so what I will do, I will say 200. No way he can walk a 200 kilometer in one day. Correct? So this is one issue. Make sure if you are looking for minimum, initialize as the largest value you can do. If you are searching for maximum, initialize with the minimum value you can have. Make sense this point here? Make sense this point? You got why here we changed the initialization? The second point here, these values here have a distance of walking that is 0. So we shouldn't compare this with the shortest distance, because we need to take the shortest walk from the non-zero values. In this case, I have to add here and walk distance not equal to 0. Correct? Correct? Now, what is missing here? Because we can go back and change. Isn't it a float? Yes, but float you can compare it with 0. That's fine. You can compare a float to 0. That's fine. But you cannot compare two floats. Okay? You cannot compare two floats. So you don't have to check tolerance. I'm coming to this, Renato. I'm coming to this. Okay. So, Jared, have I answered your question, Jared? Okay. Now, we need to find the average. To find the average, we calculated the average here not by defining 3.5 over 7 days, but we divided it by 2, by the number of non-zero days. So how we do this? So to do this, we need to check, okay, inside our for loop. Okay, so inside this for loop here. So this is a for loop. So inside this for loop, we need to see how many days we have with non-zero walk. Okay, so how we do this? I can do the following. I will remove this condition from here. Okay, and I will do the following. I will say f walk distance not equal 0. I will say walk day plus plus, and I will initialize walk day as an int equals 0, and then I will close this if condition. So if the distance is not 0, I will increment the number of days that I'm walking, and inside this if the distance is less than the shortest path, I'm switching them and I'm going out. Correct? Now outside this for loop, after I finish this for loop, I will have the total distance and the number of days. So in this case, I will calculate, or I can display directly C out, and I will display the week. I will display the week. Then I will display space has average. Then I can display the total distance divided by walk day, which will give us the average. And after I do this, I will continue the while. So after I finish all the data I have, now I can display the shortest path. So I can do C out, the shortest walk was, and I can display shortest walk. Okay. Make sense so far? Make sense so far? Isn't it a float? Okay, no, sorry. I think this is an old question. Okay. Okay, any questions? Let's run the code and see. Okay, let's open this. You can see my screen. Did we define walk day? Let me check. So walk day should be defined outside the for loop. So I will define it outside the for loop. So yes, we defined it. We defined it already. Okay, so I will show it to you. Okay, we defined it already. Okay. So after we finish the code, I will show you where it was defined. Yes, for average for each week, we need an end line, so we can display after each one. Okay, so that's why I added an end line for it. So you can leave a line after you display the average for each week. Okay, you can see here my screen. So here is main. I open the file, make sure it is opened, define the string shortest trip as 200. I define a constant. This should be capital days as 7, and here I'm comparing with days. Then I define double total walk as 0, and this can be float. Okay, I used here double, which is, so I should use this as floats. Okay. Then double walk distance equals 0. It is not a magical number, but we can say he need to find the average for 1 month. He changed the structure of this to be a month. Okay, so he would say month January, month February. So he would change it. Okay. I'm not saying this constant, it's how many days per week. So it's obvious that how many days per week is 7. But this is the number of days for the average that we are calculating the average. So here we will read the data, calculate the total. If it is greater than 0, we increment the days. And if it is shorter than the trip, we switch them. We display the average, we display the shortest path. Let me open the one a day and open the file I have here. Daily walk. So I have these data coded so I can read it. Let's close this and run it. You can define it anywhere. This is called like expert, but it's better to define it at the beginning. Yes, constant, define it at the beginning. So the average walk distance during the week off is the average walk distance during the week off, whatever The shortest distance walked is 1.4. Okay, which matches the cases given. Make sense? No, we don't have answers for the midterm. So no, we usually don't post solutions for the midterm exams. Yes, you have to do intending. Yes, you have to indent in the midterm. Yes, so we can read this. Okay. Um. Okay. Questions. Questions. Do we need to include the little symbols to represent a space? No, I said no. Just you can just leave a little bit of space, but you don't have to use a triangle to say there is an empty space here. You don't have to do this. Okay, questions. Do you have any strategies on how we can know where to initialize variables as locally as possible? So, for example, here, Ben, let's bring this. Okay, so for example, here, you can see my screen. Okay, so for example, here, when I'm reading inside the for loop, I'm reading 1.5, then I'm reading zeros, then I'm reading zeros. So if I initialize my variable here, I'm reading in it each time. So that's fine because I define it, then I read. So I can do this inside the for loop. And once I finished 1 week, I need, before moving to the next one, I need the average. So outside this for loop, I don't need the information of how many kilometers I walked. I don't need it outside this. So you look at it as information, where I need this information. So do I need this information outside the for loop? Do I need this information outside the while loop? If I need this information outside the while loop, I will define it outside the while loop. What is an example for this? The shortest walk for all the days. So I need this outside the while loop because I need this after I finish all the days. What about the average? No, I need the average just for each week so I can display it. So I don't need the average outside the while loop, but I need it outside the for loop. Yes. Why? Because I need the average after I finish the for loop. So the average has to be defined here. Okay, this is how you define where the information should live. So given that the variable will be known only within the braces, you will define it when it should be needed only. Okay, Ben? One student asked that if we define the work day, and we can see we define it here, that work day is 0 for the for loop. Okay, so usually the C++ questions will be short, not that long. It takes us like 40 minutes, 30 minutes. The robot C will take the full hour. Any questions for today? Any questions for today? Okay, so tomorrow we will do the plant robot plant one. Yes, when we are comparing floats, we have to do the absolute difference less than a tolerance because the representation of float is not the same. Even the two numbers are equal, they will be represented differently. And this difference depends on the resolution. So 10 power negative 6 is a good difference. What do you mean by sometimes you have to use end line to end line?
I mean when using C out to put something on the screen. Only sometimes the end L is necessary. I find sometimes it does it like the next time you do C out, it goes to the next line on its own. And I'm just wondering why it sometimes does that and sometimes doesn't.
So it depends on the size of the data you are displaying. Okay, so to avoid any issues, just when you display data, put end line at the end. Okay, so you make sure that you are going to the next line. So here we are displaying week by week. So at the end, I will add an end line. How the pointer work for file n? So once you open the file, the pointer will point to the first data. When you read this data, the pointer will skip the space and go to the next data. Once you read, it will skip the space and going to the next data. So each time you have the extraction operator will take this data until the white space, will return it, and then move the pointer, and so on. Comparing float and double, yeah, any fraction representation is not exact, and you will learn this in MTE 262. You will take the IEEE float point, single precision and double precision. Any float point representation is not the same. Questions? How to compare them? Okay, so let's say we need to see if x equal y. So instead of saying if x equal y, we say f absolute of x minus y less than tolerance. We will do the following. Okay, and we will use this for floats or double. Okay, when you have fractions, the fraction representation is not the same. No, you have to return exit success or exit failure, Jacob. Yes, the tolerance will be defined as constant. Okay, so you can say double tolerance constant double tolerance equal 1e minus 6. We set it up as a constant. Chiron. I didn't use the tolerance here, Ben. Someone asked about it. I didn't use the tolerance. Okay, no, we didn't use it. When we are comparing two double numbers or two floats, they will not be exactly the same. There will be a little bit difference based on precision we have. That's why instead of comparing them, we take the difference and see if the difference is less than tolerance, it means they are equal. Exactly. Yes, it will not be exactly zero. So we set it up as a very, very small value, which is more than the precision difference. Questions? Questions? Any questions? Any feedback about the course so far? Is it going well? Any questions? Any feedback? Yeah, Robot C is a bit challenging. Yeah, but Nathan, as we go forward, as you do many of these robot C questions, it will get more and more straightforward. You will see you need to drive the robot straight, you need to rotate it, you need to check color, you need to set up the gyro. So it will be repeated. Okay. And as you can see, the robot C part is around 20%, 25% of the exam. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay. Thank you for attending. See you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your night. Bye for now.